Hello there everyone, this is Brother Birch. In this video I will be walking through how to prepare your development environment. So first things first, we need to download and install the latest stable version of Python. So I just came here, I just clicked on this button, and then I just opened up this installer. So I'm going to go ahead and say where I want to install it and everything. Um, and in the instructions it said that I can just leave everything as default. One thing that I may want to do is just leave this checked. I want to add that to the path, just that I can use it anywhere that I want to on my machine. But I will just go ahead and hit this install button to just leave all of the default values that it has there. Yes, and then it'll just go through the install. While that's going, let's look at download and install VS Code. So if I go to VS, to this link right here, it'll take me to the VS Code download page. And depending on your operating system, you're just going to want to download whichever one of those you should run on your machine. Once you download the installer, go ahead and run the installer. So when it shows up down here, just click on it, go ahead and run that. And then you should see something like this come up after you install it. So you'll notice that there are a number of things here. If you want to learn more about how Visual Studio Code works and different options that you have for setup and hotkeys and different things that you can do, just go to YouTube and type in VS Code for beginners or something like that. There's a bunch of videos on there that people put a lot of time into, and so some of those might be helpful for you. But for the purposes of this class, if I go back to my instructions here, we want to store all of our CSE111 files in a specific folder on our computer. So I would recommend having a folder, preferably not on your desktop, but for school in general, but then also have a folder inside of your school folder for CSE111 and for all the projects that we're going to do in this class. So going back to my Python installer, it says, hey, setup was successful. And so I'm just going to hit close. Okay, so that's installed Visual Studio Code. Create a folder on my machine. So in here, I'll just go ahead and open up my file explorer. And here's where I'm going to make that folder. So I have a folder on my machine for all my different classes. And then in here, I went ahead and made a folder called CSE111 Programs. Okay, now inside of Visual Studio Code, if I go back over to Visual Studio Code, I can say Open Folder. And if this doesn't show up here, you can hit help and hit the welcome button and it'll show up, or you can go into here and say open folder. All right, and then I'm going to go into my CSE 111 course and into my programs folder that I just made, and I'm going to select that folder. Okay, let's head back over to our tutorial. Now it says create a folder, check, and save this sample Python file into the folder. So notice when I download this, it says this is a potentially harmful file. Do you want to keep it? I'll go ahead and say keep. I want to keep that file. And that'll just show up in my downloads folder. So if I go over to my downloads, okay, I actually downloaded it twice. So I'm just going to grab this sample file and I'm going to go ahead and there's a couple different ways that I can put it into here. Probably the easiest way, if I open up Visual Studio Code and go back to my downloads folder, I can actually close this now. Go back to my downloads folder. I can actually just drag this over here now that I have this folder open in here, and it'll put it into my Python folder that I made. So that's kind of nice. So I can close this now. I don't think I'll need that anymore. Install the Python extension in VS Code. So open up VS Code and we're going to download the Python one. So it says open up the sample file that you just opened, and I should have an option, unless I already have the Python. I think I already have it installed. So you should see a little pop-up down here saying, hey, do you want to download the Python extension? If it doesn't, you can come into here and just search for Python. And that's a really good one. Maybe I don't have it installed. I don't think I have it installed. So I would recommend just downloading this first Python. You can see that about 17 million people have installed it, and it's liked. So go ahead and install that, and that will be helpful for you. Just having your text editor help you out a little bit more with your Python coding. Okay, so we installed that, and then execute the sample Python program. Execute the sample Python file that you downloaded by clicking the run icon in the upper right corner of VS Code. The run icon is a green triangle. The sample file should run without errors, and its output should be this. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up. That installed, I'm going to close this, and I should be able to just hit this play button up here. And here's this. So we have a nice little error here. Python was not found, but can be installed from here. Okay, but we did just install that, so let's see what's going on. So because it wasn't able to run my Python file, it wasn't able to execute it, I know that something didn't work out right with my install, all right? Which is sad because I just went through all the defaults. So what we're gonna need to do, I'm on a Windows machine, so if I just hit my start button and type in path, you can see this, it pops up this edit the system environment variables. Okay, go to environment variables, I'm gonna double click on this path, and then notice I don't have Python anywhere in here. Okay, so I have to go to my Python installation. So let me find that real quick. I'm pretty sure it was in users inside of like the local app data. So I'm just going to type right here Python, and it opened this up. Oh, that's not really what I want, but it shows it. I can see that my file path right here. Okay, so I guess I'll just use that to navigate there in here. So I'm going to go into users. So this PC, C drive, users, Birch 25, and then app data. Notice how this is a little bit different. The color is different here. You might not see that. It's technically a hidden file. If you go into view and have hidden items checked, then it'll show that. Okay, so you can go into app data, shrink that down again, and then into local, programs, and Python. Okay, and so this is the path of our Python installation. And so I'm going to want to include this into my path variables on my computer. So I can just click up in here and copy this whole thing. And then I'm going to come back to my environment variables. I'm going to say new and paste that and hit save. Okay, I'm going to hit OK across the board. I'll close this, close that. And I'll probably have to close Visual Studio Code as well. Okay, I just reopened it and it should just open up to the last folder that I had open on here. So I'm in my CSE111 folder again with my Python file here. Oh, here it is. Linter pylint is not installed. So I'll go ahead and install that. Yes. And got it. All right. So that'll just help us to be able to see errors in Python as we code. All right. So now that all that's installed and that should be good to go, I'm just going to hit this play button. And here it goes. It says, hello, what is your name? Let's see if this works. Cannot edit and read on the editor. Okay. Well, that's a good start. So because I can't type in here, it's not letting me, I'm not really seeing the exact same results as I was hoping to see here. All right, so what I'm gonna do, another way that I can run this is I can click on terminal right here, and I can just type in py and type in the name of the file. This is gonna say, hey, I'm gonna execute this, and I'm gonna say what file I wanna execute. So I can run that, and it says, hello, what is your name? And I can say, Brother Birch. 3, 2, 1, welcome to CSE111, Brother Birch. Okay, and so now we are up and running. All right, now I had to do a little bit of work. I had to get it into my path variable. If you're on a Mac and you couldn't get that to work, I would recommend just Googling that on how to include path in your variable, or include Python in your environment variables for you to actually run it. But at the end of it, you should be seeing something like this. And if you are seeing something like this, then it means you're all up and running, you're good to go, and you are done with this assignment, setting up your development environment.